Alexandria Mayor Jacques Roy will not have many applications to sort through to determine who will be the next chief of police at the Alexandria Police Department. The Fire and Police Civil Service Board told us today that only 2 candidates applied for the position. That's current interim chief Chad Gremion, as well as Cedric Green, who is also from within the department. Gremion's been with APD since April of this year, stepping in the interim spot after former Chief Ronnie Howard transferred to a new role in the city. Green is currently a lieutenant with the department and has applied for the police chief position before. Back in 2021, a panel of community members listed Green as one of the top 3 candidates for the job before then Mayor Jeff Hall selected Ronnie Howard. Both Gremion and Green passed the exam given by the state examiner, and their scores were approved by the Civil Service Board last month. And according to the board, Gremion scored an 87 and Green scored an 81. The 2 applicants will now be interviewed by the mayor before he names a permanent chief. It's time